You're tuned in to the Behind the Ears podcast with Uncle Danny and Mr. Chris, because everybody does Disney differently. The Behind the Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Expedition Roasters is the artisanal roaster of specialty Disney-inspired coffees. Why not brew some of the magic at your home? Some of our coffees include Skipper's Brew, Ghoulish Delight, Enchanted Tiki Coconut, Redhead Rum, and many other unique roasts. Our coffees are certified gluten and allergen-free and feature unique custom artwork by guest artists. Expedition Roasters offers an adventure in every bag. So start your adventure today by visiting us online at expeditionroasters.com. That's expeditionroasters.com. And Behind Ears listeners, be sure to take advantage of this exclusive offer and save 20% on your first purchase with code EARS20. That's EARS20 at expeditionroasters.com. Brew your happy place. Do you have a little one and don't want to bring your stroller from home? Have you destroyed a stroller in the past from all the wear and tear from a Disney vacation? Well, Kingdom Strollers is a great place to rent a great quality stroller at a reasonable price. Kingdom Strollers is a Disney-featured stroller provider, which means they will deliver it right to your resort, even if you're not there. Same thing for picking it up at the end of your trip. So if you're in need of an affordable stroller rental during your next Orlando trip, consider renting from a Disney-trusted stroller company. Visit kingdomstrollers.com for more information.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of Behind the Ears podcast. I am Uncle Danny, the man on the other side of the glass, tapping and waiting anxiously. That is Mr. Chris. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 200. That is right. The milestone is here. The day has come. We have finally surpassed episode 199. With that being said, Mr. Chris, how are you today?
I am doing really well. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be here tonight. I mean, the fact of the matter is that, 200 episodes? I mean, dude, could you,
Never in my wildest dreams I thought we'd make it this far.
And not because we couldn't, it's just, it is such a challenge to do what we do at times, and I'm sure I speak for many, if not the vast majority of Disney podcasters when I say this stuff ain't always easy. It's not all it's cracked up to be, and it's a labor of love, and that is all a very true statement, and I wouldn't give it up for the world right now.
No, absolutely not. So let's break it down. What are we going to talk about tonight? Well, we're going to start off, we'll do, we'll reminisce about a few things. We'll mess around with a few things. And then I know everybody wants to talk about the pressing news that we feel like we have. We have information that we got from a very credible source. That is, me and Chris spent a good half hour of unexpected phone call today trying to decipher it and figure out where we stood on it. And we're gonna keep that for the tail end. So you guys got to stick around if you want to know what it is. You're gonna have to stick around to find out.
Oh, we're not gonna keep them in. We're not gonna keep it in suspense all that long.
All right, at least 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, but that's not the end. Considering we have an hour show, so
that's true.
But also, don't forget, I was telling all the people that some people actually asked us to maybe wait a few extra minutes until the season finale of This Is Us was completed. So, if nothing else, hopefully they're getting done. They're getting a soda or a beverage after they've watched that, and will join us here. So by the time they're all ready, everybody else will be ready, and that'll be cool. So
yeah. So you put out a post, and you would basically were referring to what was your favorite show.
Yes.
Your favorite topic, I mean, because let's go down the list. I mean, we've had Jeff Barnes from the Walt of Wisdom come on the show. Yep. We've had Tony Casanova from the Disney Parks podcast come on. Yep. We've during the marathon, we had Lou Mangel from WDW. We had Mike Rahman from the Be Our Guest. You had Nicole Orr a little while ago from, she has her blog and also participates heavily inside the Indie Disney Meet. We've had Aaron Del Prince that helps run the Indie Disney Meet. The fan favorite. We've got Jake from Bright Suns Films over there on YouTube. I mean, I know we've interviewed more, so please don't Don't. Oh, jeez, the gauntlet is back. That is
Who remembers when we did the marathon show and I said, I am going to use this big, gigantic snifter of sorts that I know holds over a gallon of liquid. And I actually drank an entire gallon of green tea during the marathon. Yep, and I drank it out of this. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was some good times there, man. I don't care what you say. That's
I mean,
you have to remember.
We had Trisan, who's a big runner in Disney. We had her come on, talk about disabilities inside Disney with a service dog. Obviously, the fantastic Jessica has come on, and there she goes talking about when she was a guest, talking Run Disney. We've made some crazy cool friends. We've made some lifetime friends. We've done some bonding. We've been able to travel to Disney way more than I anticipated in the calendar here. But and it's just, I still think, because we used to do 3 shows a week. We're down to 2 shows a week. My fan favorite would have to be, breaking news is always fun, especially when you're one of the first people to have something and you're the first person to have it and it's real. That's a really good feeling. But topic wise, I really love grind my gears.
I have to say that is always a fan favorite, and it's one of my favorites as well. Not because, and for those of you who may be newer to the show, every once in a while, and generally speaking, we're going to probably bring it back as a regular feature here on the show. But we kind of take some time to take a couple topics and just kind of vent a little bit about things. And, it's the whole, kind of goes from the Family Guy, Peter Griffin, what grinds my gears? Oh, I do a horrible Peter Griffin. But if we do it in fun, we do it in jest, we do it with humor. Because while we go ahead and talk about some of those things, it's never meant to be malicious or mean or anything like that. We just try to be funny. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But, but ultimately it's a lot of fun. I'll agree. I think that those are always really good. I always like I will say I got 2 types of shows that I like. I like it either when we do like our favorites, or I actually had a lot of fun when you and I did throwdowns.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Where we all try to debate on who has the best pick for something like that. And that was really cool. But, I really enjoyed I enjoyed all of our guests, to be honest with you. We actually have other guests that we've lined up for this next month, or so. And we're just kind of finalizing on some dates, but I really enjoyed talking, first off, for our first marathon show when we raised money for Give Kids the World Village. And we had other Disney podcasters, we had authors, we had, other, members of our listening audience that specialized in something within the Disney community. That was just awesome. I mean, that was 9 hours of nothing but talking Disney on a Sunday afternoon. And that was probably the most, it was a lot. And you know what?
We're going for more.
We're going to do it more. We're going for more. And Danny and I are in the process of planning that whole thing out right now. And it's a lot of work to get to that. And, but I will say, I really enjoyed, talking with different people. I know he's one of your favorites, but I also enjoy talking to Jake from Bright Sun Films. Does a fabulous job at being a documentarian, especially with all the different things, Disney or non-Disney. To be honest with you, the guy's got a lot of talent. Check him out over at the Bright Sun Films YouTube channel as well. And I enjoyed also. I was really honored for Lou Mangello to be on our show for the marathon. I thought that was also so awesome. I've always looked up to him as a really strong person in the Disney community. Same for Mike Rallman as well. I've kind of started listening to podcasts because of those guys. Mm-hmm. I really appreciated them very much. So all of our guests, I appreciate. I know I'm going to miss people. It's sorry, there's way too many and not enough time, as they say it. So, but yeah, it's really cool. So anyway, if you think about it, Danny, most of our shows last about an hour. So there's 200 hours worth of listening material and then some.
Oh, definitely, and then some.
And the problem of it is, a lot of people have never heard the bloopers. They've never heard the conversations that were not recorded afterwards. And, it was one of those cases where there's something like 2,048 hours in a typical business work year. And over the past 2 years, we've probably spent, I don't know, way in excess of over 1,000 hours working on different things easily. And that doesn't include the stuff that we're just driving in our car thinking about things. That's a lot of time over the past 2 years. And, it's been very much a labor of love. So,
oh yeah. I mean, we, there's a lot, people, and God bless you, if you want to pick up a mic and be a podcaster, I mean, there's a saying out there, but it's not Disney friendly. So I'm going to leave it at that. But, a lot of people could do it. And you know what? People told me and Chris and told me, and don't do it. You're never going to be able to do it. It's just, you got to stick to it. There's a lot. It's not just picking up a mic and sitting down. I mean, the sitting down is honestly, I feel like that's the hardest part.
We
have just the sitting here because of the fact of life happens. You get home late from work, family, stuff pops up. The material is not hard. You're going to read about it anyway. You're going to have your own opinions on it. It's being, and I hold, Chris holds me accountable for this all the time because, I'm more the one that usually tends to run late. And, this scheduling is very important. You guys know at 9:45 to make sure that, you're there. But are you okay if we move on to the next subject? Because that's how bad it's like burning inside me right now.
You know what? I think so. And you know what? It's 10 after the hour. This is us. It's over. We've got awesome people here tonight. And first off, if you are a first time viewer, thanks a lot for joining us. And you've really you've tuned in at a time that this is going to be really interesting. Danny, this is your scoop. I'm going to let you start this off, man.
All right. So, two things. We will never divulge our sources. Whether you do podcasting as a hobby, as a business, a little bit somewhere in the middle, anybody that's good at what they do and respects what they do is never going to say where they get their information from. Unless the federal government wants it, I ain't telling nobody. So unfortunately, my information has to stay a secret for specific reasons. On the second note, me and Chris will never in this show, anybody who participates in the show will never go out there and put down another site, another show publicly. That's not what we do. We will refer to certain articles as clickbait, and that is your judgment whether you want to believe our personal opinion. But I will never say www.blank.com is clickbait. I'm just going to refer to an article and you take it from there. So there's been an article floating around the internet for about a month now. And at first, when we all saw it, we all thought it was one way. It was a site that was a very clickbait site, and basically saying that Disney is about to impose a new pay structure for people who want to stay at Disney resorts, that they're going to have to pay to park their car. So knee-jerk reaction, we all said, okay, it's for the people who are staying off-site or whatever the case is and want to be able to walk into Epcot, so they're going to go to Boardwalk, Yacht, or Beach. Or if they want to hop on the monorail, they're going to go to Poly or Contemporary or Grand Floridian. We all thought that, right? But the article was so outlandish. I mean, this is the same place that also told everybody that It's a Small World was going to be turned into a Coco theme or a Tangled theme, excuse me.
Yeah.
So that just shows you the reputable place and why, how non-reputable it is. So, which leads us to this. I have a source inside Disney who is a well-trusted source that cannot be named, but has basically been able to relay a message to me, and we're going to go from there. Disney is implementing a new pay structure for their parking. It is not what you think it is going to be. It is going to come into your first. So the first question everybody's going to ask you is when? When is this happening? It's going to be happening during the spring break time right around the corner. Now, you might say, hey, Danny, Nebraska takes a different spring break than New Jersey does. You are 100% right. I cannot give you a specific day. Give me a couple days and I'll be able to nail down more specifics for you. But as of right now, we just know that it is the spring break time. So I would say watch for this happening by no later than April 1st. Now, what's going to happen? Because the article said, hey, it's for people who are trying to pay or trying to sneak into the resorts and park there all day and, and they think that's what they're going to be paying for. That is incorrect. What do you expect is going to happen? Here it is. I'm going to break it down for you. Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3. Very layman terms. If you stay at a Disney resort and you have a vehicle, you have to now pay for parking. I
was just going to say, if you've made your reservation already, this will not apply to you for that reservation. Okay? So, like, if you're going in a couple weeks, you're not going and you get your reservation, you're not going to have to worry about it.
Or if you're going in August, it doesn't matter. As long as it's booked,
if you got your vacation booked, you're good to go. This is going to be applicable to your next vacation.
Now, you might say, okay, well, Danny, what are the prices? Right now, nothing is set in stone from our source, but we are looking at a value resort is going to be $13. A moderate resort is going to be $19, and a deluxe is going to be $23. And the deluxes will still offer the valet parking for $25. Now, me and Chris are sharing a room, but we both bring our own cars. We both have to pay for parking. It is not per room. It is per vehicle. And it doesn't matter whether you drive a motorcycle or an RV camper. The prices are whatever it is. Now, if you are at a Disney campground, that does not count. You do not have to pay for parking. If you are disabled, you do not have to pay for parking, and the valet is still complimentary. Now, you might say, how is the pricing scale based on? The pricing scale is based on per overnight stay. So basically what it means is if you are there for 8 days, you only get hit for the 7. You only get hit when the car is overnight. You're shaking. I'm sorry.
I was looking at the comments and I clicked and it moved right. It moved right as I wanted to click this comment, and I'm going to say,
no, APs does not matter. As of this moment, it does not matter. The only people who are getting exempt from this is if you are disabled and you either want to use valet or the complimentary parking, or if you are a DVC member and you are staying at a DVC villa. Now, if you are not using, you could be using points, credit card, gift cards, doesn't matter. If you are a DVC member, you do not need to pay for parking. Everybody else needs to pay for parking. Now, you might say, okay, not the end of the world. What about if I want to just go, I'm staying at Pop, I have my car, and I want to go over to Polynesian because I'm hankering for some Tonga toast? Well, here's the deal. If you are dining and or shopping at any Disney World resort, you still get complimentary parking. The only way you're getting charged is if it is an overnight stay. Okay? So I've basically laid out the ground structure for you. I've given you the prices. I've given you the layout. Now I'm going to pass it to Chris, and we're going to have a civil discussion. Listen, you're going to be probably pretty surprised how me and Chris lean on this, and we both lean pretty close to the same way on this. But I'm going to let Chris give his opinion after you've all heard the pricing structure. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. I put you on the spot? You're muted.
Yeah, I was muted. I hit that button because I was moving around in my office here and I didn't really want to. Okay. So I'm having a hard time actually putting this into words that, I think are the most civil, to be honest with you. The problem I see with this is that they're going about this the wrong way. And I know that a lot of other Disney podcasts, they a lot of people try to keep things very positive in the Disney light. And we do too. We always try to look at the positive in things. But I do think that they're going about this the wrong way. And Danny and I did talk about this earlier. Here's my take. As a lot of you know, I'm a rule follower. And The problem of it is that I'm the kind of person that I always thought it was a good feature to stay at resort hotels, not have to pay for parking. I always thought that people who did not stay at resort hotels, people were staying off-site, I always thought that they should put some kind of checks and balances in place so that they did not park at resorts and then get on a bus or use a monorail or just walk over to the different parks in order to try to keep the parking more available for those who are resort guests. And we were talking about this earlier when we first heard about this. And the fact of the matter is that what really kind of gets me is that, I've stayed at Bay Lake Tower before. And yes, I stayed at one of the busiest times. It's so stinking hard to find a parking spot at Bay Lake Tower as a guest of Bay Lake Tower. It's not usually a problem to find a parking space for, say, Animal Kingdom, Kidani Village. It's usually not a problem. And usually at value resorts, it's not too big of a deal. Some of the boardwalk was a problem to me. And so the part that really kind of gets to me is I think they're kind of going about this the wrong way. I think they're doing this in such a way where resort guests are paying, but if you weren't a resort guest and you were just staying off site, or if you're a local, and it's good for a local, you can go and you can go to Ohana for breakfast or dinner. You can go to, Kelly Grill with a reservation and things like that. And you can basically have the same loophole that has been exploited for quite some time. And I mean no disrespect by that, but I think, people do it. And it causes havoc among those who are guests and they can't find a parking spot. So here's the thing. You rent a car, now you're going to have to tack on somewhere between $13 and $23 for parking. And if you're the kind of person like Danny that finds some really cool, awesome deals on rental cars, you've just tacked on, probably another half as much in overall cost. Danny was able to get cars for less than $30 a night, or $30 a day, and now
we're not talking junkers either.
No, I mean, finds himself a cool drop top Beamer. You know what I'm saying? And so the thing is that that's, you start looking at those costs, and it gets ridiculous because I park my truck and it sits there. It doesn't go anywhere until I leave. And I just think it's really, I just think it's off. Okay. Cause also if you think about it, if it's $13 for a value resort, let's say a value resort costs, let's call it $130, $150-ish, depending on when you're going, you're adding another 10% to that. 7 to 10%, depending on which hotel and what rates are, so on and so forth. For a value resort, you're looking at another 8%-ish type of thing.
Per day.
Yeah,
this is per day. It's not $13 flat. It's $13 a day.
And then you're talking about deluxe. Yeah, it's a little less percentage in value in relation to how much that resort costs. But I don't get it.
You're using your car way less at a deluxe. I mean, more than likely. I mean, and I know there's going to be, that argument of the line, but I would assume if you're staying at a deluxe, you're closer to one of the major parks. I mean, I don't know how many, that's a statistics I'd have to sit down and figure out. But
yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is that it's what it's really doing is that, if you're flying in, fine, you don't have to deal with it. If you're a DVC member, fine, you don't have to deal with it. But, the fact of the matter is it's going to make people who are really thinking about their budget, if you're staying for, 7 days at a deluxe hotel, you're talking about another $150, $160-ish. And that's $150, $160. I can drop that easy at almost any table service restaurant Easy.
But they're planning on that you still will.
You see, the thing is, some people won't.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble. They're taking the gamble.
The thing is, okay, you know what though? Here's the thing. Even if let's say you're still doing a 7-day trip, and you're paying $13, and it's less than $100 difference. That you're staying at a value. You're staying at a value probably because you want to keep your costs low anyway.
Mm-hmm.
See where I'm getting at with that. That's part of the problem. And all of a sudden you're going to have a lot of people that are going to say, well, I have no other way to do this but to have my car there. I do a lot of driving because, usually it's a lot cheaper, more efficient. I got more time than money. It costs me, $400 round trip in fuel for my truck. It usually costs me $1,200 or $1,300 round trip for airfare for my family. Obviously, driving my car is a big difference. Now, instead of $400, it could very well cost me $550. It's going to increase my cost by 25% or more. Now, I realize that there are some people have mentioned, I won't be able to find all the comments, such as Disneyland already pays, you already have to pay for parking at Disneyland. Yep, I know. I've had to do it, and it was not cheap. It was not cheap at all, and I had to include all those costs in mine. Some people mentioned that, that, if you're a guest at Alani, but you're not a DVC member, it costs you $37 a day to park. Which, by the way, is still a bargain compared to parking downtown Chicago, but that's an entirely different show altogether. But my biggest thing is that I realize there are some things here, and hold on, I'm gonna pull up a comment from Brian, if I could just find it here. Here it is. He basically says, the reason they are doing this is to raise prices, but not have to charge hotel tax on that raise. Parking service fees are our standard tax. Hotels are like 18% or whatever it says. I can't read it. It sucks to hear it, but the alternative would be a higher increase to hide the fee. You know what? I know there are places outside of Disney that charge for parking.
Almost everybody.
Almost there. The further away you get away from Disney property, the less you're apt to actually pay for parking. Like, I've had to pay for parking at the Hilton there at Disney Springs. Now, mind you, it's probably been 5 or 6 years. Back then, it was like $10.
Yeah, but you have to watch. As you get further away, you get closer to the convention center.
Yeah.
Or you're going towards Universal. See what I'm saying? That's the problem with that. Like, I'm not nailing you for that statement.
No.
But that's the problem with everybody and their mother around Disney charges for parking. So, but it's going to come down to you and your family, and you're going to have to figure out the math of what makes more sense, because you might be like, well, I don't want to pay for the parking. Well, no matter what hotel you're going to in that area, more than likely, I think the Holiday Inn over by the Orlando Eye did not charge for parking. And there was another hotel I stayed at that didn't charge for parking. But the Rosens, the Hiltons, and the Doubletrees, I've stayed the last 3 trips, all were basically between $19 to $25 for parking, whether it was, I think the Rosen last time I was there was $15 for self and $25 for valet. So I like to be bougie and say for $10 more, you could just park my car myself.
Yeah.
Less walking. But do you have anything else, or can I
I'm just gonna let Aaron know this isn't speculation.
No, this is happening.
This is happening.
This is you'll hear about it in the next couple of days. This is not speculation. This is guaranteed. I would put any amount of money on it.
Yeah. This is not speculation. We just happen to have the scoop on it.
That's how much I trust this person that's telling me. Like, there's irrefutable evidence. I can't get into it, but I'm just promise you this is coming down the pipeline, and I don't mean the pipeline like in a year. I mean within the next week. You should hear more. So here it is. I've never been the person to sit up here and tell you Disney's a money grab. I haven't. When Disney raised their prices for tickets, what I said, part of the game, man. When people say, hey, they're trying to, price me out. I told you why they were trying to price you out. They're trying to keep their people, they're trying to keep crowds down during these crazy times of the year because people were complaining. So how do I feel about this? This is the biggest money grab I have ever seen. They did it completely backwards. If they wanted to charge for parking and stop the offenders all in once, they would have said, okay, it's a mandatory. Even if you are eating dinner here, you got to pay for park, $10. If not, Uber in or get a Disney transportation to get you to our resort. But if you want to drive in and you are not a paying customer staying overnight, that's who should, those are the people who should be paying, not the people who are dropping thousands of dollars to stay in your resort. That's crazy. This is a straight up money grab. That's all it is. So let's look at it logically. If you stay at Pop for 7 days, you're talking about $13 a day. If my math is correct, that's $91. Okay? That is essentially another room.
Almost.
Think about it. I've seen All-Stars for $80, $90. I've got Pop for $120. You are literally talking about pennies of a difference that they are going to end up charging you in parking compared to what's it called? Compared to not charging. You know what I mean? Like, it is absolutely absurd that when this happens, if people aren't, I'm not all for people, like, listen, it's not going to change how I go to Disney. It's not. I'm still going to go. I might tweak certain things. I've told Chris on the phone today, all right, maybe I got to start doing some math if I'm staying on property, if I'm really going to rent a car or not. But this is the lowest of the low. And I do not like the excuse of this is how they're offsetting a price. This is how, and I hate it because I heard it from the horse's mouth that they turn around and say, but everybody else around here does it. Don't give me, you're Disney. Don't give me that. Didn't your mothers teach you anything? You don't point fingers. It doesn't matter what little Johnny does. If little Johnny jumps off a bridge, are you following little Johnny off the bridge? No. This is ridiculous. And granted, I'm mad over what, $90? Yes, that's nothing when it comes to Disney. I get it. But the whole reason that these parking lots are getting filled up is because people are parking there and they're going, some of them have legitimate reservations, and then they might take advantage and go out and do some other things. I am notorious for going to Disney resorts, parking there, and exploring inside those resorts. I love walking around Animal Kingdom. I love going around the boardwalk and going out to Twin Rivers and getting something to eat. I love doing all of that. I'm not paying for parking. That's crazy. I just Uber in. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you have the people who are just using their parking lot to get into Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom is basically the one that you're going to see the most of. I know Chris was talking about the boardwalk having not ample parking. That's because the boardwalk is set up terribly, as well as the contemporary. We and Chris were talking about. They have that giant courtyard that's made out of stone, bricks, that should be a parking lot, and it's not. Those two resorts, I understand people's complaints with them, but that's more of a engineering problem that when they built that compared to an actual people are taking my parking spots. Because we've talked about it. Driving the Pop. Now, granted, Pop is a value, but we're going to start there. Driving the Pop. There is parking lots that they just have filled with work trucks because they don't fill. You go to Riverside and French Quarters. Once again, okay, it's not a deluxe, but there's plenty of parking. Now, let's talk about the deluxes. Yes, Contemporary is a nightmare. Boardwalk is a nightmare. Ample space at Beach and Yacht Club. Ample space. You're going to walk, but ample space. I did it last time. Crazy.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Animal Kingdom. Unless Chris was talking about on the phone today, unless you're looking for covered parking, ample parking. So you're really Polly's got a huge parking lot. I was there during a Memorial Day weekend a couple years back, and there was ample parking. Now, well, let me rephrase that. It's not ample parking. It was very filled, but it's just the point. Here's the thing. It's at the end of the day, I can be mad. I could sit here and complain. I could be one of the people that go out and sign a petition. I could do it all. But at the end of the day, it's not going to change how I go to Disney. It might change my factoring of, okay, am I going to stay off-site versus on-site? Am I going to rent a car versus not rent a car? Should I just Uber, just say, the heck with it and just take Disney transportation? Yes, those are all factors that we all now need consciously to sit down. You need a good travel agent. Get a good travel agent. It doesn't cost you anything. That is not a self-promotion. That is just strictly just get a solid travel agent who knows how to get you around, and decide how you and your family are now going to vacation. At the end of the day, we're all still going to go. because at the end of the day, if it's a value resort, you're talking about $100. Listen, if you got 2 kids, you're gonna get the Buzz Lightyear spin thing for $25. The little girl's gonna want the bubble maker that's Princess Alana. There's $70. You're gonna get a couple Mickey bars, call it a day, maybe a cup of coffee on the way out. You're at your $100. You're gonna spend it either way. It's not gonna deter people. What it is gonna do is it's gonna PO certain people, and you will have your people like, I'm not going, I'm gonna stay off site, I'm an Uber, and you will. And at the end of the day, they're going to be perfectly fine with that because now they're going to have ample parking. Yeah, Rant over, by the way.
The thing of it is that there was a particular Disney fan site on Facebook, not the WDW community page, I might add, that posted the rumor article, not the one that we're talking about. And there was a lot of speculation, there was a lot of mad people, to be honest with you. Of course, a lot of people were like trying to figure out how it was going to affect them. They were wondering, hey, I'm an AP, is it going to deal with me? Hey, I'm a DVC member, what about me? Hey, this, that, and the other. And the fact of the matter is, okay, if you're a DVC member, now the real truth is coming out. It's not going to impact you. Yeah, if you're an AP, it's going to impact you. It's going to be charged to your room. It's going to be charged to your folio. It's not something you're going to have to pay at the gate or something like that to answer a question that was put up there.
Yeah, they're tracking your license plate.
Yeah,
that's how they're doing it.
Which, to tell you the truth, they've kind of been doing that for a while. It's just it's not been very well advertised, but they know what the plate is on my truck. It's as simple as that. They've got a record. Well, they don't, because I've actually changed plates since last time. But anyway, but the thing is that they know what my truck is. And, the fact is that, like, Aaron kind of mentions, hey, let's see, how do you get around to fee? Park at the TTC and leave your car there while staying at the Poly.
Here's the problem, though. Are you willing to leave your car there overnight? Because that's one of those gray areas where they possibly could tow you.
I've heard people say that they don't.
Disney will not tow.
They're not going to tow it, but
knock on wood that they don't. I would be the unlucky one that would get towed.
Yeah, it'd be one of those things. I mean, the thing of it is that they want people to use Magical Express. Although I saw another comment earlier, I don't think I put it up, or maybe I did, but it basically made the comment, when are they going to start charging for, when are they going to start charging for Magical Express type of thing?
Do. Built into the
it's built.
It's not.
That is built in, and it's as simple.
Everything's built in.
That was one of those things. By the way, Mason says he loved his buzz. By the way, and he was happy he shared it with his Uncle Danny. So I mean, let's see. I'm kind of looking through here.
Here's my take on it. It stings for people like Chris. Now, me and Chris do this very differently. Chris has his own car, but I rent. Doesn't matter. Chris likes to, and Chris, I'm sorry if I'm overstepping here, but
go for it. Try it. I don't know what you're going to say, so go ahead.
Okay. Chris, when he goes to Disney, he just parks his car, wipes his hands of it, and goes on his merry way. He takes Disney transportation.
True. Very true.
I go to Disney, and I'm in that car nonstop. Like I'm zipping around, gas station, here, there. I'm always in it. So, yeah, there's a 13 stink for someone like me, sure, but at least I'm justifying it. It stinks for someone like Chris, where you're paying to literally just take up a 8x8 square. Well, no, an 8x4 square, essentially, whatever a parking spot is nowadays.
You haven't seen my truck lately, have you?
No. But, all right, you're literally taking up that little piece of concrete. Well, not little piece, but you're taking up a piece of concrete, and it's not moving. And that's where it stinks. But here's the major thing you're going to see. If people start flying in instead of driving, if people stop renting cars and start just using Disney transportation, you're going to see an influx, and Uber prices are going to go up because they're going to be more in demand. Lyft prices are going to go up and go into more. Light bulb was the minivans going up $5, a prerequisite for what's coming down the pipeline for parking. And then lastly, you're going to see Disney transportation become busier now.
And it's going to be really busy. And then when people are going to say, oh, I want to rent a car because I don't want to have to deal with Magical Express. Oh, but now you got to worry about, now, seriously, dude, Your rental car cost from MCO, when you include all your parking fees, is going to go up by 25-30%, if not more, when you wrap your transportation costs as whole. And that's just one thing. I think that's really what it comes down to. You have to include this in in determining how you're going to do Disney from a transportation perspective. Oh, and one other thing. If you're a Florida resident, from what we understand, it doesn't matter. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you're a Florida resident and you're going to be staying as a resort guest, you're still paying for parking. If you're a Florida resident, like say a local, and you're going just to enjoy the resort hotel and its amenities, then they don't charge you. That's really what it comes down to. So, and I said this before, Jessica said, hey, that's another $100 I could be spending at the parks.
But I have to word this delicately. If you have it in your mind already and you pre-budget it, which what they're hoping you do for that $100, are you still not going to spend that $100 in the park? Because I am. No matter what you charge, I'll figure. You're still gonna I'm not gonna go. I'm not. Double. That's a double negative. So I am. If I have to pay for parking, that's not going to affect me if I'm going to Le Cellier for dinner. It's not. But that's me, and I do Disney very differently. My budget is very differently. It's just, it's interesting to see people's take on it, because $100 is $100, but $100 in Disney is a little bit different than $100 when you're at home, and I think everybody can agree to that. When I'm at a store, I'm not buying a $60 long sleeve shirt. I would look at it and be like, you're out your mind. It better have gold in it. When I'm in Disney, I'll buy a Spirit jersey for $60 and not even blink an eye about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
What did he say about Uber prices? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, okay. Chris was saying Uber prices just went up in Orlando. Us drivers don't get an increase, but Uber gets the increase.
Yeah, but that's the deal you make when you drive for Uber. I mean, listen, if my company charges more for a service that my company brings you, it doesn't mean I, as the worker, make more money. I mean. Yeah, I mean, Uber's got a very interesting. Hey, Dave, what's going on, brother? Uber's got a very interesting way to look at things. Like, they go up and down depending on the time of day, and yeah, you got to be like a mathematician if you really want to learn how to do Uber. You're still getting all our money.
but now you have to be a mathematician to figure out what's going to be the best way to do Disney. I mean, if you're trying to figure out, is the dining plan going to be the best way? Is doing free dining going to be better than getting just a room discount? Now you got to put in transportation costs, more, pretty much more beyond what you have to do. See, someone actually mentioned before that, when you park your car at a hotel to fly, usually you have to pay for parking. And that is true. And depending on where you park, it's, could be a lot more expensive or even cheaper. But the fact of the matter is, I consider that a part of my overall transportation costs anyway. Like I know that I'm going to have to pay, what is it, $19 or $20 a day to park at one of the two Chicago airports when I go down to Disney this year, sometime between now and Christmas.
Yeah, so it's built in. You're an experienced traveler.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor? Heather made a comment. Could you pull that up for me?
Let me see if I can find Heather's comment. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll read it while he's pulling it up. So Heather says, say I went to Polly for breakfast with reservations to get that Tonga toast, and then ride the Sea Racers. Will there be a time limit for me parking there? Okay.
Oh, the little mouse boats.
Yeah. Rule of thumb, and this has always been the rule that we've always heard, is when you have reservations, you have a 3-hour window for parking. I've been at Boardwalk for 8 hours with a reservation and just ended up walking around afterwards and going to get drinks and everything, and my car was never towed. Disney's really not going to tow a car. Knock on wood. I don't want to say never, but as far as I know, it's never been talked about. So is it going to be a problem? No. But you could also, if you wanted to cover on your end, and this is not required, this is just a personal preference, say, hey, listen, when you get up to the guard, here's my reservation. They're going to look your name up. They're going to take your plate down. Be like, hey, after breakfast, we're renting a boat. Just, they're going to say, okay, they're not really in the market to give that much, to care that much, honestly. But, if you want to be precautious, yes. But technically, there is a 3-hour window.
Yeah, and the thing of it is that here's my take on it. After this comes into play, if you're there longer than 3 hours, or let me rephrase that, are they going to put some sort of checks and balance in place where if you are there beyond 3 hours and maybe some sort of leadway time, are they going to charge you after that? Are they going to go to a ticketing type system or something like that for those guests?
Wait, like the ticket, like how they used to in the Dash?
Well, I'm thinking about stuff, you get a ticket, you go to a normal parking garage, you pull out your ticket, it has your time on it. And then, then when you leave, you go ahead and put the ticket in. If it's under 3 hours, it won't charge you. But if it's over 3 hours, they're going to say, okay, now insert your credit card or debit card in order to, pay X number of dollars per hour afterwards. I don't know. That part is speculation.
Per our source, they're not going back to their old the way they used to do their ticketing system. And as of right now, they are not handing out paper tickets.
Yeah, but
that's just per them. It could change.
Yeah, that could change. I don't know. And, just Mary, I know you came in late. Just mention, DVC is going to be exempt from this when you're staying at a resort. Okay. So in other words, if you're a DVC member that's local and you don't have a resort reservation, this does, you still are going to have to, follow some of the other rules, in a sense of like just going for the day, like Danny just mentioned. But it says if you're a DVC resort, either staying at a DVC resort on points or you have a cash reservation somewhere else, you're covered already.
So I see a couple people just popped in. They all want to know what's going on. Quick recap. So Disney is now charging you to park. Grand scheme of things, if you are a hotel guest in a value, $13, moderate, $19, and a deluxe is $23, well, they will still offer valet parking for, I believe, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it was $25.
23.
DV's 23. No, that was 25 for valet.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
It's okay. Anybody with disabilities still gets complimentary self-parking and valet parking, and anybody who is staying at a DVC deluxe villa, that whether they use points or did not use points, if they are a DVC member, they do not have to pay for parking. AP members do need to pay for parking. If you have 2 cars per room, it does not matter. This is per car, not per guest. It is only for overnight parking. If you are just visiting a resort or shopping or eating at one of their establishments, you do not have to pay for parking. So we all thought that it was the people who didn't have a reservation were going to be paying for it. That is incorrect. Per our source, it is the complete opposite. But, I'm going to type up a nice little blog article tomorrow and hopefully be one of the first people to get it out. I'm sure there's people watching this and slowly taking down my notes so they can make their own blog post. But you heard it here. And for real, I'm excited to say it. You really, really heard it here first. Mark the day, mark the time. Nobody else is talking about this. And the people who are talking about it aren't talking about the right things. So, haha. That's how you celebrate number 200, baby.
And the fact of the matter is that, yeah, we're kind of scooping this. But the thing of it is there's so much misinformation out there about this. It's just way uncool. And it was causing a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth, to be honest with you. I started cringing to hear about this. And I gotta be honest, there's going to be still, come tomorrow, or come later this week, come the end of this month, there's still going to be a lot of crap information out of this. Now, if it changes after this, officially, unfortunately, we won't be able to retract it. But the fact of the matter is, as it stands right now, this is the best information from what Danny's been told.
See, and there's a catch-22 because Aaron was talking about it. The bus drivers are complaining there's too many cars on the road, and they want to start limiting people driving. And I get that aspect. But at the same time, is now you're putting more buses on the road with all the locals because you're going to need an influx of buses for all the people who were not normally taking the bus and now they normally drive and now they have to take the bus. So I really think it's one of those weird catch-22s. I really feel like it kind of falls in the middle. I guess in Disney's eyes, they'd rather have more Disney buses than regular cars. I would assume that's how they would be portraying this. But I mean, I feel like this is going to be a conversation we're going to have over the next few weeks. I'm sure we'll come back up. Listen, this is the new hot button topic. Everybody wants to talk about it. And, we're here. If anybody has if you want to have a conversation about this and you don't know where to go and where to do it, simply go over the WDW community. W as in Walt, D as in Disney, W as in world, and then the word community. So WDW community on Facebook. Check it out. Ask to join. 3,500, 3,600 people already have joined. And, when we're not on the show, that's where me and Chris will be discussing the most. But we're over an hour now, and I feel like we've honestly done our due diligence with this topic. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Well, we just want to touch base on a few quick things since we're only about 50 minutes into our normal recording time. I know we took a little bit extra time in the beginning to get some things worked out. First off, I just wanted to throw this up there from Carolyn about DVC members. Is it worth the money? Carolyn, let me just go ahead and mention that we recently, back in December, actually, did a really good 2-part series on DVC between myself and one of our listeners, Brandon. I invite you to go ahead and take a listen over on the podcast, or you can find it over in the video section of the Behind the Ears podcast website, Facebook page. But I also know that we do talk about DVC often because it is a very popular topic, and I'm sure we'll be covering that a little bit again soon. How's it worth the money? Let's put it this way. How about my outlay cost now that I've paid for my membership? I basically pay for less. What I pay for a deluxe resort, less than what people pay for a value overall. More about that in a different show. Valet, Mary, you think it was up to $30? I think actually it is. It is up to $30 if I'm not mistaken. How are they going to match the car to the room? Most likely, Magic Band. Don't forget they actually have you, scan that. Let's see. But I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of people that Leah's basically giving us a weather report. He's at Disney now. The weather is amazing. That's really, really cool. So let's see. I'm just want to see if I'm missing any really good. Aaron does make a comment, good one at that. They want an influx of guests using transportation because if they can add one bus in place of 2 zone cars, that's a big net win for them. That's true. And Aaron believes that he'll probably get this. This will be announced late Friday. Let's see. Do I think that your family should become DVC members not to pay those nonsense parking prices, or better to stay off property? I'm going to tell you. Wait, dude. Time out. First off, I actually had a very similar conversation with Danny about this not too long ago. Here's the deal. DVC perks are perks. Okay? You don't buy into DVC for perks. Okay? Whether it be free parking, discounts, or whatever, you don't buy it into the perks. You buy into DVC for strictly what it is. You're buying into a timeshare for your lodging expenses. Technically, that's it. Everything else is pixie dust. And it can be taken away, added, changed, whatever. Is it better to stay off property? I'm not saying that you should stay off property because of this. We are just.
I know, but that's such a loaded question.
It is kind of
$30,000.
Yeah, the thing is like right now to do it. I mean, it's not that it's a loaded question. It's just unfortunate that being a DVC member is buying a real estate interest. Okay, it is tens of thousands of dollars. And it's also a lot of money per year to be a part of that. You're not going to buy into the DVC for those kinds of perks or discounts. It's as simple as that. And I don't think staying off property is, if you want to stay off property, that's fine. But the thing of it is that like anything else, you have to count your costs. Whether or not you stay off property, on property, or what have you, you still have to make sure that you're going to compare apples to apples. It's as simple as that. Let's see. Oh, and also I like this one because I've talked about this before. What Aaron has said: bus and car accidents often caused by out-of-towners who are totally lost during driving property and not watching where they're going has to be a cost that drives them crazy. Yeah, I've seen my share of more than just fender benders, and that's just you know a really big deal. You know.
It's so funny as you say that. I just happened to scroll over to our live feed on Facebook,
Mhm.
and there's this 6 ABC News action popped up. A truck tipped over in King of Prussia and is dumping out eggnog everywhere. That's an interesting product. Everybody's safe. That's the only reason why I brought it up. I just thought that was crazy. I mean, there's some funny things come out of trucks. There's literally just a row of just eggnog flowing down the main highway right now.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just think that is not only random, but hilariously random. So I'll tell you what, I know there's I'm seeing a lot of people in the feed right now that are talking about DVC. Sounds like we need to have another DVC show coming up here soon. And I'll go ahead and arrange that. We had some really good stuff in the past. We'll let people know about that. Let's see. How it's going to work for Fort Wilderness. I believe that you mentioned earlier that it's not going to impact staying at
Does not impact campsites.
It does not impact the campsites. So, and Aaron said something that other people have said. You want to make a lot of money? Buy a secured parking lot in Orlando. That's not too far from Walt Disney World. Then offer shuttle service to Walt Disney World. Become the Disney Park and Ride king.
That's hilarious.
I'm probably not doing a really good radio announcer voice. So no, but yeah, it's actually really good. Yeah.
I was hoping you were gonna throw that up there because I was gonna do it tonight too. The minute I saw that, I was like,
now you're gonna say treat your eggnog, Danny. Yeah, it's just really cool. We'll do another DVC show. You know what? Okay. Here's my wrap up for this, to be honest with you. Ultimately, is this going to stop anybody from going to Disney? Probably not. And to be very honest, if it does, it means that you were kind of probably looking for an excuse anyway to not go back to Disney for a while. I mean, $100. I mean, I said this before with the ticket increases. And I realize that in the scheme of things, this is slightly different because I know it seems like one increase after another. You have to plan for it. And when you plan for it, it's not going to hurt. That's the thing. Most people take trips. I know there's a lot of people that follow us that actually take more than one trip per year. Okay, so I'm not really referring to that. But for people who usually pack up the family, go on vacation, one big vacation a year, it's either one or two times. This is just one of those things you have to plan for it. Okay? Danny and I obviously think about different things and different details of this, and we'll get more details and we'll share it. But the thing of it is that this isn't going to stop anybody from going. It really isn't. You know, and Trisha, I get it. She brings up a great point. We say that every time with every increase, and it's getting ridiculous.
That's the truth. That's the truest thing somebody has said. We all are up in arms every time. At the end of the day, we still come back.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, this isn't going to make me want to sell my membership, or this isn't going to make me change my plans. You know, the thing of it is that if you really try to work things so you don't have to pay the fees, you're probably going to pay the fees somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Because, like we said in the beginning, other people are doing it too. The best way to look at it is overall costs and overall value. Danny, you've heard me say this before. Best value does not necessarily equate to lowest cost. You can find a cheaper hotel. You can find cheaper resort fees of sorts. You can have a lower cost if you stay off site. But are you going to get the value of staying at a Disney resort? That is, you know, that's it's very subjective. But two, I'm still going to pay it because I feel like it's a value for me. That's the thing. You know, we're not going to be able to get around this. But now, if nothing else, people know, actual facts of what's going on. They can plan for it.
Aaron said something on my last thing I'm going to say, because you all know how I feel. I'm not going to run another rant. My throat hurts. Aaron says the increases are like a bubble. Soon it will pop. Disney just had their highest ticket prices ever, obviously, in the past year. And they also had one of the highest attendance years. I mean, when does that bubble pop? Because I'd love to know. I'll be there waiting, to buy up some stock when it does. I mean, the only way you really, I truly say this, and I say this hoping to God it never happens. I hope Disney just keeps raising their prices, and you'll see why I say that in a second. Would be another major terrorist attack inside the United States where people are then afraid to fly again. That's the only way you're ever going to see those prices. I mean, not saying you'll never see the price drop. No business. You can see the price stay level. Yeah. I don't see it dropping, though. I mean, maybe one day they take away the parking fee and they go back to free complimentary parking. I mean, that is doable. But, I mean, the food prices can't go down. They can't. How can they go down? That's not only based on them. That's based on who they're buying it from. Their trucking, oil prices go up. Your food prices go up. Look at your grocery store. Why do you think every week milk and eggs is a different price?
Oh, my gosh. The price of eggs have totally skyrocketed. And it's usually cheaper right now. Oh, my gosh.
People don't understand that. There's a lot of things, why do you think certain, an avocado prices went skyrocketing? Because they had like 1 million and so avocados they couldn't sell. They went bad. So what happens? They have to make up their loss somewhere. Disney's no different than any other business. Unfortunately, that's how it is. Prices will never drop, but they'll stay level. But with that being said, this has been a fun episode 200. We wanted to do something quirky and fun, but we couldn't pass up the opportunity where we just, couldn't talk about this. So with that being said, if you want to stick around, we're going to end the show and we'll hang out for about 10 more minutes to a old school in memory of the VIP parties. So we're going to hang out here for 10 more minutes. I know it's going to sound like we're leaving. That's more for the podcast end. So with that being said, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Facebook is Behind the Ears Podcast, Instagram Behind the Ears Podcast, and that pesky Twitter Behind the Ears PC. Any listener questions, comments, or concerns, you can email them to behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at Behind the Ears Podcast and the WDW community on Facebook. I already got 4 requests. You are all in. Trisha would kill me if I didn't mention it. Lastly, from me, do not forget to rate and review the show on iTunes. It is very, very important you do this. It's going to sound trivial. I know I say it every show. Just do us a favor. Head on out there and rate and review us. With that being said, guys, thank you all for joining us here on Behind the Ears Podcast. The last 200 episodes have flown by. It's been an absolute blast. Here's to another 200 and more. I am Uncle Danny. Don't forget to tuck your kids in at night. Drink that eggnog because prices are going up on eggnog. Mark my words, prices are going up. I'm Uncle Danny. I'm signing out.
How am I supposed to do my part of the exit when I laugh like that? Hey, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. As you know, we are a live, unscripted, unedited show, and this is just a prime example, and I'm going to slap Daddy later for that sort of thing. But hey, listen, subscribe to the show as well. That way, when it comes out, it'll come right into your podcast catcher, whatever you use. Apple Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio. Ask Alexa to play it, Google Home, wherever you get your podcast. Go ahead and subscribe to it so it comes in right when it's ready. But I'll tell you what, this has been an awesome 200 episodes, and we really love you guys, and we thank you for being a part of the Behind Ears podcast family, and we are going to be here for many more than another 200. So until we meet again, we hope that you have a wonderful day. Take care.